It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I am Paul David. Very good to have you in studio with us today. Becky Salazar joins us with Animal Disaster Services with Yavapai County, and we're going to be talking about just what happens with animals when there's a disaster, just such as the Dose Fire, Yarnell Hill Fire. We have the Fire Slide Fire. We got the Junipine Fire right now in Oak Creek Canyon. So it's very easy to welcome, first of all, Becky.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program.
It's good to be here.
I'm very glad you drove over to take time to sit down and talk about this really, really neat program. Let's start with the beginning. What is Animal Disaster Services?
Animal Disaster Services is an all-volunteer group. We work under the authority of Yavapai County Emergency Management Services. They are the ones that call us out. Whenever there's an evacuation in Yavapai County, they call us out to set up a shelter for the pets of people who have been evacuated, because the people can go to the Red Cross shelter, but their pets cannot unless they're service animals. So those pets need a place to go. Now,
this wasn't always considered. I mean, you know, if I was evacuated, I think most people think, well, get the people out, get the people out. But pets were kind of left on the wayside. And being a pet lover and a pet owner, I wouldn't be able to do something like that.
Right, and many people won't leave if they can't take their pets. And if they're not sure what to do with their pets, they won't leave. In fact, in the Yarnell Hill Fire, we had a man who was force evacuated because he was refusing to leave without his dog and didn't know that there was a place that his dog could go and be taken care of.
His best friend.
His best friend.
Right.
So, yeah, they force evacuated him, but then they did bring along his dog, and we took care of his dog.
All was fine after that then?
All was fine. They got to go back home together. He still had a home, didn't lose it, and so the two of them went back.
Happy ending, happy ending.
Yes.
How long has Animal Disaster Services been around?
Since 1999. They were formed, I don't know all the details, but it was kind of a joint project between concerned citizens who realized that pets needed a place to be taken care of, and the Yavapai County manager at that time,
Nick Angelillo.
Who was a pet lover. Yes, very supportive of the group.
So how does it kind of play out?
The way it plays out is if a fire starts and there is an evacuation called, then the current emergency management people, Denny Folk, will give me a call and tell me there's an evacuation taking place and we need you to set up a shelter at such and such place. It appears as though it's going to be Yavapai College for the most part.
That's where you set up?
That's where we set up the last 2 times, and it's ADA compliant for the Red Cross. We try to set up close to the Red Cross so that the people can be near their pets. That's important. When they're stressed, when the people are stressed, it helps to be able to come and sit with their animal or take them for a walk or that kind of thing.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, and know that both are doing okay. So Denny calls us out. We have a great big red trailer with all of our supplies in it, and we have that hauled to the site, and then we just start unloading and taking people in with their, not the people, but their pets, checking in their pets. Initially, we will put them in a kennel, just because it helps them a little bit with the stress. It helps them to feel, you know, like they're enclosed and they're safe.
Right.
And all of that. Sometimes we'll even put a blanket in case there's a barking dog, you know, close to them, stressing them out. We'll give them a little cave for a while. And then once the situation kind of settles in and we're just working in normal daily mode, we'll put up what we call X pens, exercise pens, and give them some bigger room to stretch and play and that kind of thing. We almost always have donations or help from local stores that will come and set up a big enclosed area for us outside. So we can take them outside, let them off leash, because it'll be a fenced area with a gate for us. And we'll take out the dogs one at a time and just let them play out there or walk around or lay under a tree and just relax for some relaxed time. Cats are kept in a different room. We don't keep cats and dogs together because they tend to stress each other.
Right, right.
And the same if there are birds. For the Yarnell Hill Fire, we had 3 birds, a rabbit, and a hamster. So
you got to think of everything then.
Yes,
That's got to be tough.
Yes.
Right, that's got to be tough.
In the Indian Fire, they had a goldfish that came in a pickle jar. We always tell that story.
A goldfish in a pickle jar?
A goldfish in a pickle jar.
Really?
So yes, yes. So yes, we'll take in anything, including horses, all of that. The large animals we usually house at a different location. If the fairgrounds are available, that would be our first choice.
Now, the dogs and cats, maybe they're easier to take care of than people.
Probably.
Maybe. How many dogs and cats do you think you had during the Yarnell and Dose fire?
Yarnell, we had 83 animals that we housed for the duration. We did not have any horses because there was a local private ranch that took them in and took care of them and fed them and everything at their own expense, which was very awesome of them. That
has to be a huge, elaborate setup at Yavapai College near Red Cross, because I remember back when we were doing the stories on that it was really a well-made point that the Red Cross is right next to Animal Disaster Services.
Yes.
I remember saying that repeatedly to ease people's minds about that.
Yes, the Red Cross usually sets up in the gym of any school. Normally we evacuate to a school because it just has lots of rooms that are very usable for us. The Red Cross will usually set up in the gym, and then we set up in a room or several rooms that are close to them. And just last year during those 2 fires, we were basically, just feet away from them.
Now, when they bring their pets in, they obviously register the pets with you.
Yes.
Now, are those folks are also supposed to go then over to the Red Cross and register with them?
Yes, they are.
So you and the Red Cross are also communicating back and forth on who you've had come through the door as well, I would imagine.
We do. We send them, if they come in to us first, then we send them over to the Red Cross. Even if they're not going to stay there, they need to register so that if family's looking for them, that kind of thing. But we will send them over there to either check in or register with them. But yes, then we've got their pets for the duration that they are evacuated.
Wow, what a job. Let's take our first break, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Becky Salazar is in studio today with Animal Disaster Services. I'm Paul David. Number to call for more information, 445-3347. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
I would steal pills from my friend's mom.
We talk about all the common drugs, but never prescription medication.
I was addicted to pills.
Had I more knowledge, I would have done things differently.
Secure your medications and talk with your kids. Visit drugfree.org.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're going to need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change the past, but you can definitely change the future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? My gentle technique isn't really working. You need something a little more
persuasive.
Yes.
You listen, and you listen good.
Hey, where's my sandwich? Terry? Terry!
Take it from me, the King DMC. It's a real cool thing to get your GED.
Get that diploma!
Now hold on and we'll find you free GED classes. Capiche?
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Ronnie had huge aspirations.
He knew he could get pills in the community.
He found his body in an apartment in Telford.
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Secure your medications and talk with your kids. Visit drugfree.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. Becky Salazar, our guest today with Animal Disaster Services in Yavapai County. We are talking about pet evacuations today. We talked about the dogs and the cats, birds, the goldfish in a pickle jar, the whole 9 yards. Goldfish in a pickle jar, I love that. Last year during the Dosey and Yarnell Hill fires, something that I thought was really neat and how the community all kind of came together and worked really well together was the, you think dog, cat, you even got reptiles listed on your page here, and you guys have really thought about all the different types of pets people can have, but some of us have giant four-legged pets that are just massive. Horses and cattle.
Yes.
Goats?
Goats.
Sheep?
Yep.
Pigs?
Yep.
I mean, you had all this stuff coming through the doors last year, right?
We actually didn't have any pigs.
No pigs.
But yes, that's always a possibility. It's always a possibility.
How do you deal with something like that, and how do you prepare for something like that? I mean, that is outside of the realm that I would even think that you folks would be able to handle.
Well, it's really all supported by the community. When people start showing up with whatever pets they have, and like you said, it could be a pig, it could be anything, then we reach out to the community and ask for that type of support and or as far as housing and food. I mentioned the fairgrounds because that is usually our first choice of where we go to try to house animals like that, because it's just perfect for that kind of thing. And then we will ask the local stores for feed for those types of animals, because that's not something that we normally keep in our trailer. We do keep small supply of dog and cat food, and we keep the turnover on that so that it's always fresh. But from there, once we wind up with these animals, then we usually ask for help from the community for whatever supplies that are needed for them. Now, we have several of our team members that are experienced in caring for large animals, and that's who would be at the fairgrounds caring for them. I'm not a horse person, so I wouldn't go there. I would stay with the cats and dogs, but we would send those people who own horses and own sheep and goats and pigs that know how to care for them. That's who would go to that site.
Gotcha. How was the response last year when this came about?
It was tremendous. It was almost, especially during Yarnell Hill fire, after the tragedy of the firefighters, we had people across the country calling us and asking, what do you need? It was almost a full-time job just to field the calls and, make a statement of, we need this, we don't need this, we're set with that, that kind of thing. And besides supplies, there are people who will call and say, I have a lot of acreage, and if you know somebody who's without a home, and they want to bring a motorhome and live in my front yard, they can for a while. I can house 2 dogs and a cat, that kind of thing.
We heard a lot of that last year.
It's just a tremendous outpouring from the community.
Yeah, last year I can recall people calling and saying, look, I have 8 extra stalls. I could take 8 horses.
Right.
And then I do remember last year there was, I think the gal that had the 8 stalls, she also had almost like an RV park next to her place for people to come and park their RVs so that they could stay close to their horses.
Right. Yes, it's very heartwarming. During a tragedy, the good stories are there too.
Do you have any really great stories from last year?
I have a couple that are kind of both sad and happy. I mentioned the man with the dog that refused to evacuate. That man was actually under hospice care at the time. And Like I said, he refused to leave home without his dog. His dog, to be perfectly honest, needed to be under hospice care too. He was
really?
very elderly. We think that he had some medical issues of his own. And I was very nervous the entire time that this dog would give up the ghost while he was in our care because, like I said, he was very elderly. And I thought, how tragic for this man. So when we actually got to the point where we could send him back home because his owner had gone back home, it was a big rejoice time for us you know, that we could put them back together, especially since the man wouldn't leave without his dog. It was a very good feeling that we could send him back home. There was another lady also under hospice care that had a 20-year-old Siamese cat that came into our care. That lady, unfortunately, her house did burn and she was not able to go home. And it was thought that she was going to have to go into a different type of home and she wouldn't be able to have her cat. So we found it a temporary foster home in the hopes that they would be able to actually find something for her that she could still have that cat. And it did work out in the long run. After the evacuation was lifted and we had disbanded and all of that, I did hear that they found her a place where she could have her cat, and so we got it out of foster care and
good news in the end.
Put them back together,
If I have the sheriff's office come knock on my door and say it's time to evacuate, I understand it's between 5 and 10 minutes usually when you have to get out, if that even. With those fires last year, as fast as they were moving, I don't know if they had that much time even. What are some of the things I should be thinking about? Now, I know that my personal stuff, my family, my pictures, my papers, all that important stuff. Medications. I'm supposed to take that stuff with me. Now, I've got my dog. What am I taking for my dog, my cat, my goldfish, all that good stuff? Well,
as I said, we will always reach out to the community businesses for food if we need more than we have. However, there are a lot of people's pets who are on special diets. I have a cat that's on a special diet. It's prescription food. So ideally, if you could bring some of that pet's food with you, that's great because they're already in a stressful situation, so to change the food on them would be hard, even if they're not on a special diet. If they're used to eating one thing, we'd like to keep it that way. And we do ask that of the people when they bring them in. What does the animal usually eat? What brand, what kind, all of that. But of course, their medications, if they're on some kind of medication, don't forget that. Pretty much we can provide them with everything else that they need, but if they have special needs, that's important. If they have a favorite toy, bring the favorite toy. A lot of times we don't like to keep track of all their possessions, so you know, if you're bringing their blanket and their leash and their kennel and everything else, we'll probably send a lot of that off with you.
Keep your kennel limited.
But because then we don't have to keep track of this is this dog's, you know, special blanket.
Well, you had 83 dogs and cats last year, so that's a lot to deal with.
Plus the laundry and all of that. So, you know, all of that gets laundered on a regular basis. So again, trying to keep track of your dog's special blanket is just tough for us. But if it's really needed, then we will. We'll keep track. But those are the important things.
Tags and collars.
Tags and collars, their medications, their special diet food, if that's, you know, what they have. So yes, tags and collars are very important, although we do put a collar on them too. It's just a paper collar with a sticky that we put an identification on them so that just in case, you know, when you're sitting at home with your dog and you're all watching TV, their collars aren't nice and tight. You know, they're usually very loose. And when we're out walking a dog, if they get frightened by something, their first instinct is to back away, and we've had them back right out of their collars before.
Oh, that makes sense.
So we, yes.
You thought of that, is what you did.
We've thought of that.
There's that common sense thing we were talking about earlier, right? Let's take another break. Becky Salazar in studio today with Animal Disaster Services. A quick phone number for you, 445-3347. Countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. Great to have you along. There's one thing we're not going to be able to get to today, and that is the equine kit that you should kind of have set up. And you can get all this information on this brochure that I'm holding here. You can call Becky at 445-3347, 445-3347. You can also email her at beckysalazar@cable1.net, and then she'll just send you the brochure.
Right.
We were talking off camera, it'd be great to keep this right on your refrigerator.
Absolutely.
And as you mentioned, as we've talked about before, a pre-kit is always good to have handy.
Yep, put your kit together ahead of time because you won't have time when they knock on your door.
Yeah, because when they do knock on your door, all of a sudden it's like, is this really happening to me? And, you know, grab all your stuff.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I imagine you guys need donations. You are a nonprofit.
We are a nonprofit. Our needs are usually small, but we still have needs. So yes, donations are always welcome. And that kind of same information that you have there, or our website, you can even go to the website and donate through the website.
That's the UnitedAnimalFriends.org?
Right.
UnitedAnimalFriends.org.
And then just look for the Animal Disaster Services section there, and you can donate through there. And volunteers. We're always in need of volunteers. Unfortunately, we cannot take walk-in volunteers, so people who show up and say, what can I do to help? They have to have some training first. So
that's
now
just safe.
Yes.
That's a safety thing.
It's safety for the animals and for the people.
Sure. Sure.
Absolutely.
So you have to go through a check first. Do you know if your information is on the Yavapai County website? Under Yavapai Emergency Management?
I don't know that.
I don't know either. I'll have to take a look and see if that's there. But that's a possibility. It might be there as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Nevertheless, though, we're out of time, but let's give the phone number, 445-3347.
Correct.
Becky Salazar at cable1.net or UnitedAnimalFriends.org. That's all the places you can go to find out more.
You can go to find information.
About Animal Disaster Services. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
A wonderful job you do.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank all your volunteers.
Okay.
That's today's Countywide, and we will talk to you again next time.